Tomorrow afternoon at the Rady JCC at 2 p.m., the Music and Mavens concert series presents Wrapped in Rachmaninoff. This concert will feature father and son duo Yuri and Ari Hooker. Yuri Hooker is the principal cellist with the Winnipeg Symphony Orchestra, and his son Ari recently won the $2,500 prize from the Women's Musical Club of Winnipeg and is currently studying at the University of Manitoba's Desautels Faculty of Music. This concert will put Rachmaninoff's expressive and virtuoso cello sonata front and center in a concert that is sure to keep audiences entertained. And joining me here in the Classic 107 studio, I am joined by Yuri and Ari Hooker. Hey, Yuri and Ari, great to have you here. Can you tell us what we just heard?
That was the second movement from Ari's cello sonata, which we will be playing at the art gallery this Sunday.
Perfect. So this is going to be a busy couple of weeks for the both of you. Tomorrow you're playing that recital at the Rady JCC, and then following that, this weekend you're playing that cello sonata by Ari. Yuri, I'm presuming you and Ari have been playing music together since he was a child. How has it been for you seeing him grow into a polished musician and performing with him professionally?
It's been a huge source of pride and just joy, really. Something that you dream about, that as a musician, that your kids will enjoy music and love playing it, and even overtake you as musicians. And it's been such a thrill to see how Ari's been developing over the years.
Fantastic. And Ari, how does you've grown up in a house full of music? Your mother's also a great pianist. How does it feel to be going into the family business?
I mean, it's exactly what I want to do, and I think I've known I want to do it for a long time, and it's always been very inspiring to see such amazing musicians in the home all the time, and yeah.
Tomorrow you're going to be playing Rachmaninoff's G minor sonata. It's such a great staple of the cello literature. Ari, the piano part is super substantial. It's really is a duo for the two instruments. What was the most challenging thing about learning the piano part?
Really just getting your fingers around it, to be honest. In terms of ensemble, it kind of just flows together really nicely, but obviously Rachmaninoff, being the virtuoso he was not did not shy away from making difficult piano parts. So just honestly the technical aspects. And
he introduces a lot of the main themes first in the piano, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and I mean, it's just tune after tune after tune in this piece. It's amazing. And the other thing that we found really cool about it is it's like the next opus number from the second piano concerto, which Ari was also learning. And there's a lot of tunes that actually almost sound the same or very, very similar, very close in the shape.
Yeah, we're touching on my next question. Yuri, can you give us a little bit of background behind the sonata? It was actually finished in the same year as the second piano concerto, right?
Yeah. It was written for Anatoly Brandukov, who is a great Russian cellist over at the turn of the 20th century. Actually was Piatigorsky's teacher. And there was he was about 14 years older than Rachmaninoff, I think, and Rachmaninoff had a great deal of respect for Brandukov, and I think was just inspired by him to write this piece.
And I was reading that Brandukov was actually the best man at Rachmaninoff's wedding.
That's right. Yeah.
And one of the other things that I found really interesting when I was researching the interview is that because it was written in the same year as the second piano concerto, many think that the second piano concerto sort of, unfortunately, eclipsed this masterpiece, this cello sonata, right?
That's probably true. And I mean, sometimes I think Rachmaninoff gets a bit of a bad rap because he was writing music that was, I mean, when he got older, that was unfashionable. And even though people had huge respect for him as a pianist, the kind of the more critical academia didn't give Rachmaninoff much time, and that's right. I think that the second piano concerto did kind of eclipse this piece, although most cellists just adore the piece and love to play it. It's just a matter of being able to find a pianist who can handle the piano part.
Also, when I was preparing for the interview, I was reading a booklet. It's off Stephen Isserlis's recording. And he says that there's a lot of the Orthodox Church in this cello sonata. He says some of this like bell-like sonorities in the piano part, these very sort of lyrical qualities in the cello part, the repeated notes. And then, of course, when I think of Rachmaninoff, for me, I always think he sort of had a complicated relationship with the church. He wrote his amazingly beautiful Vespers, which is... Do you hear that aspect in this cello sonata, Yuri?
To be honest, I hadn't noticed it before, but I believe it. And I mean, I think just so much the tunefulness of Rachmaninoff must be influenced by something by his experience in the church and in the Orthodox Church, the Orthodox tradition, and just the deep sonorities, as you say, like there are a lot of those kind of bell-like qualities, and I think he was a deeply spiritual person, somebody who was always looking for truths that were beyond the immediate, the obvious.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Ari, you're also a very fine composer, and you and your dad are not only going to be playing this cello sonata tomorrow, you're also going to be playing this huge cello sonata written for David Morose on Sunday. But when you were learning the cello part for the Rachmaninoff, was there anything from a compositional standpoint that you learned from?
I actually composed my cello sonata before we started working on this, or had even planned the concert. So a lot of sort of the cello writing, I mean, I've written another smaller cello piece prior to this, but a lot of the cello writing, I think that, like, where I've learned that from is sort of inspired mostly from going back to the Pablo Casal's CD that I would listen to, because that's just something I do. I listen to music at night when I'm falling asleep, and there was this Pablo Casal's CD that I would always listen to, and so that's where a lot of my inspiration for writing for the cello comes from. I think.
So it's the same thing for the cello sonata that you're going to be performing on Sunday night. It's the same inspiration.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Can you talk about why you dedicated it to David Morose?
Well, that was mostly because David introduced me to this great Russian composer Metner, who was a contemporary of Rachmaninoff, and Rachmaninoff was has become so famous that Metner's kind of overlooked, but they actually write in pretty similar styles, and he introduced me to Metner, and I just loved the music so much. And a lot of the inspiration for the cello sonata I wrote is also based off of Metner and other Russian composers, but just David teaches Russian music really, really well, and that inspired me to write that piece.
And why? And it's got a title. Can you talk about that?
That was also inspired by Metner. The piece I was learning last year with David was called Sonata Tragica, which is a solo piano sonata. And so I gleaned a similar title from that.
And it's called?
Sonata Epica.
And, Yuri, is it epic? How is it for the cello?
It's, I don't think I can't think of a cello sonata that is more epic. that is I mean, and certainly in length, and it takes you on this great journey over 5 movements, from turmoil, despair, all the way to just joy, peace, hope. And you spoke about the music of the Orthodox Church before. The last movement of it has a kind of hymn-like quality as well. So it's just it does take you on a trip.
And audiences can hear it performed by the Winnipeg Chamber Music Society this Sunday.
That's right. Yep.
So tomorrow at the Radio JCC, you're playing the Rachmaninoff cello sonata. Is there anything else on the program, or?
Yeah, Gwen and Carl will be playing a duo by Rolla. For violin and viola, I believe, and I think David and Alan Harrington are also going to be doing playing a duo for piano and saxophone. So it's an evening of duo. So
that's for the Winnipeg Chamber Music Society concert on Sunday, but then the concert tomorrow.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, yes, tomorrow at the Radio JCC. It's largely going to be taken up with the sonata, and we'll be speaking in between the movements as well to kind of give people an idea what they're about to hear. There may be another little gift, Easter egg, maybe, as they say nowadays, on the program as well. But people will have to show up to hear what that might be.
And for audiences, the Rachmaninoff cello sonata, it's a big work, but it's a masterpiece all throughout. The concert tomorrow for the Music and Mavens at the Radio JCC sounds like it's going to be just fantastic. I thought we would wrap up the interview by having you play. Can you tell us what we're going to hear?
Yeah, we're going to play the first movement, or part of the first movement of the Rachmaninoff Sonata. Starts with a slow introduction, feels kind of like smoke rising, very, very sensual, very prayerful even in a way too. And then things get going in a typically Rachmaninoff kind of fashion with these beautiful tunes and fireworks in the piano.
Perfect. I'll let you go to it. Ari and Yuri, that was just great. Thanks so much for taking the time and stopping by and talking to me today.
Our pleasure.